Understanding. Chris Farpoy.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. To speak to part two, which talks to amendments to the Limited Partnerships Act. Can I just begin where my colleague Dr David Clark finished off, and that is that we do support this piece of legislation, and we do agree with the party on the other side that to make sure that there are good business conditions for New Zealand firms. That those firms want some certainty, and that certainty comes about from, amongst many things, from the reputation that our companies have, and one of those factors is obviously the laws governing companies and limited partnerships here in New Zealand. And we have seen, as of late, some concern about the reputation of some of our companies and some people who have come to our shores to make use of our good name and to take advantage of our laws to ply their, illegal trade under the guise of a New Zealand company. And this bill and part two goes quite a long way in specifics to combat some of the issues that has come about because of that concern. Mr Chair, part two does give the Registrar of Companies the ability to remove a company from limited partnerships from a register if in certain circumstances it believes that there are grounds that the company isn't carrying out business and there is no proper reason for it to continue to trade. That is pretty precisely what I was talking to at the beginning of my contribution in terms of those people who come to New Zealand to ply their trade under the flag of a New Zealand business but have no proper reason to do that and engaging in what we would call either scurrilous or illegal behaviour. So that is a good power that this bill has added to the Registrar to strike to the Registrar to make sure that that reputation to ensure the certainty is there for New Zealand firms. There's also grounds for the Registrar to remove a limited partnership. Point of order, Mr Chair.
Point of order.
Mr Chair, we've already had one instance of some barracking from across the House.
Order. Sorry. You cannot refer to a previous point of order. Now, I've already cautioned a member on your side to be terse. Now, please raise the point of order, or I will dismiss it.
I can't really concentrate on my speech for the level of barracking.
Right, order. Let's just have a bit more decorum all round. It's there's a degree of agreement on the bill. There's no need for this interchange.
That's right.
Chris Farpoy.
It's a relatively good day here in the House. Mr Chair, the bill also gives the ability for the Registrar to respond to requests to confirm information under its enhanced investigatory powers. So, Mr Chair, just there are two good instances where the Registrar of Companies has been given more power to, increase the reputation of New Zealand legislation around their companies to protect reputation. Mr Chair, I'd like to refer specifically to clause 58 in part 2 of the bill, which adds sections 103A and 103G to the Limited Partnerships Act. And 103A talks about people who are prohibited from managing limited partnerships. And subsection 1 of 103A refers in B to the kind of people who a person who is convicted of an offence under any sections from 377 to 380 of the Companies Act, or a crime involving dishonesty as defined in section 2(1) of the Crimes Act. And maybe someone with a legal background in the Parliament might be able to help me, because I'm not sure if that's quite specifically as to what Mr Banks was found guilty of in terms of his case, which sees him no longer in this House, because that certainly was a dishonest act, because he declaring a couple of donations as anonymous when he knew what the source of those donations was. And my colleague Claire Curran in the first part of this debate made a very good point as to why it has taken so long for the changes, both in Part 1 and also in Part 2, to find its way to the committee stage in the House when this piece of legislation, I believe, was introduced to the House some 2 and a bit years ago. And she made, I think, a very strong point that the party across the chamber is very vocal and very quick to pass legislation when it claims it is getting tough on, Mr. Chair,
Chris Farfoy,
on what you would call street-level crime. But when it comes to crime of the white-collar nature, it seems to drag its heels to the extreme. And I think that is certainly the case here. This piece of legislation, I think, was first mooted by the Honourable Simon Power and then introduced soon into the new term of this government. But we are finding ourselves on June the 18th only in its committee stage. If someone could remind me when the Select Committee reported this back to the House, I think it would have been some time ago. So maybe the Minister and the Chair could answer that question as to the government's attitude to its lack of urgency with this kind of criminal behaviour, which again goes to the reputation of doing business here in New Zealand. But it seems when it wants to beat its chest around law and order on street-level crime, even when it's not really effective, it will move that through this House with great haste. So maybe the Minister and the Chair could answer that question. He has made contributions in this committee stage which were quite useful. So maybe to that specific point, Mr. Chair, Minister Foss might be able to point us in the right direction as to the different attitudes that this government has to street-level crime and to white-collar crime. Mr. Chair, we will be supporting Part 2 as we did with Part 1 because it does go some way to increasing the protection around the reputation of New Zealand businesses, specifically to being more specific about who can and who cannot apply trade or manage limited partnerships. And it does give the Registrar of Companies much more power to monitor those. And again, I'll make the point that I did in Part 1, we need to make sure that Registrar has the resources to do that, because this government, along with the likes of the Commerce Commission, has talked tough about giving them new powers, but hasn't necessarily given them the ability or the backing to make sure that it can effectively express those new powers, and certainly that has been the case in other pieces of legislation. So just to finish off, Mr. Chair, we would ask the Minister and the Chair to talk to the specific question as to why it's got this government has a different attitude to street-level crime and to white-collar crime. I don't really rate our chances of getting an answer.
Mr. Chair.
Claire Curran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In speaking to Part 2 of this bill,